9 returnees from Ebola-hit Liberia have all tested negative for the Ebola virus. The 9 came aboard a commercial flight at 11:30 p.m. last night. The commercial flight had 69 passengers on board, all of whom tested negative for Ebola. The 3 Kenyans who were expected to be on that flight have not yet arrived, and it's not clear why they were not on that flight. The 9 returnees, who included 5 adults and 4 children, will have to remain indoors for the next 21 days until the incubation period is over.
We shall be sending a health worker to their homes on a daily basis. Number one. Number two, we have to also understand that these are the ones who have tested negative. So they are not sick, but it's just a precaution to make sure that in case there was even the minute percentage or probability of them getting sick, then at least they are at home and they're isolated, quarantined for 21 days.
Zambian President Michael Sata has died. The 77-year-old leader is said to have died in London, where he had been receiving treatment for an undisclosed illness. Sata, who was Zambia's 5th president, left the country for treatment accompanied by his wife and family members. The Zambian government confirmed his demise, describing it as a blow to the country's leadership.
According to a press statement by the Zambian government, the leader left for London on the 19th of October for treatment at the King Edward VII Hospital. However, no word on his well-being was released to the public thereafter until the announcement of his death today. Sata died shortly after 11 p.m. Tuesday night with his wife and son by his side. Concern over Sata's health has been mounting in Africa's second-largest copper producer since June, when he disappeared from the public eye without explanation and was reported to be getting medical treatment in Israel. Acting President Edgar Lungu has since then been in charge, and as late as last week, he led celebrations to mark the landlocked nation's 50th anniversary of independence. Sata missed a scheduled speech at the UN General Assembly in September amid reports that he had fallen ill in his New York hotel. A few days before that, he had attended the opening of Parliament in Lusaka, joking he was not dead. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Ruhakana Rugunda, and the President of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, were among the first leaders to express their condolences. Sata, who once worked as a railway reporter in London, had been the country's president since September of 2011 after winning a tight presidential race against the then incumbent Rupia Banda. Under Zambia's constitution, the country will have to hold an election for a new leader within 90 days of the death of the president.
Right, Slovenian online university Doba University plans to spend $1 million in the region to attract students to its program. The online university that has already started an online master's business management course for Kenya plans to use the money to head into Uganda, Tanzania and Rwanda as it seeks to tap into the growing demand for online studies. The university has announced that it will be launching a multi-stakeholder campaign targeted at both the public and private sector employers that will ask them to allow their employees access internet and extend their hours in the office to attend their classes online. Well, the program, which will also feature scholarship and partial scholarships programs for the English language MBA program, will also benefit stay-at-home mothers in Kenya by growing awareness on the opportunity presented by e-learning.
The students can participate in these virtual lectures. They can share videos, they can share certain documents, and of course the teachers can also show their PowerPoint presentations. So everything is online, and students know exactly in one time of the course where they are, what they will have to do, what the deadlines are. Everything is very clearly described. So they don't feel that they are alone, but they are part of this virtual international community.
Now, a bomb scare in Mombasa town this morning resulted in closure of businesses and paralysis of operations around railway station. According to workers of Soul and Suitcase Manufacturing Company, an anonymous caller informed one of the directors last night that a bomb had been planted in the premises and that it was to explode at 9 a.m. Police officers arrived at the scene, ordered all workers to evacuate the premise as they combed through using sniffer dogs. However, by midday, no explosive was detected and workers were allowed to resume duty. Neither the management of the premise nor police have spoken over the incident. Let's go back to our top story this afternoon. And 9 returnees from the Ebola-hit Liberia have all tested negative for the Ebola virus. The 9 came aboard a commercial flight at 11:30 last night. The commercial flight had 69 passengers on board, all of whom tested negative for Ebola. 3 Kenyans who were expected to be on that flight have not yet arrived, and it's not clear why they were not on that flight. The 9 returnees, who included 5 adults and 4 children, will have to remain indoors for the next 21 days until the incubation period is over. And online, we now have our Catherine Omwanto, who has been on that story. Catherine, it has been a busy night for doctors at the airport. What next for these Kenyans who are now free of the Ebola virus?
Well, now these Kenyans have to go home. They will be taken home by the government because they had to give their physical addresses as well as their telephone numbers. So they'll go home and they have to now self-quarantine, which means that they have to stay away from anyone, around. Basically, any relative that they have must stay away from them for the next 21 days. So that's going to be a very lonely 21 days because, of course, after you come home, these guys have been away for 1 to 4 years. So when you come home, you just want to see your relatives, but you really can't. There were questions about how the government is going to ensure that these people actually self-quarantine. And what the cabinet secretary said is that they will send a health worker every single day to these houses just to check on them, just to make sure that they're all feeling well. They've also been told to check for the signs and symptoms of Ebola because the gestation period, if I can call it that, is 21 days. So there's still a minute chance that the virus could pop up.
All right, Catherine, is there any word on the 3 other Kenyans who were supposed to be on that flight? Have the officials from the ministry said anything about the 3 Kenyans?
The government is actually quite concerned about the 3 Kenyans because we were expecting 12. What they're saying is that they're trying to trace back. This flight came from Monrovia, and from Monrovia it went to Brussels, and from Brussels it came to Kenya. So they're not sure whether they did get on from Brussels or whether they did get on from Monrovia. So they're doing a lot of back tracing to find out where these 3 Kenyans are. There were questions about the fact that maybe they weren't let onto the plane in Brussels or in Monrovia because when you get on the plane, you are tested. And you have to meet the qualifications to get onto a commercial flight. Although the government is yet to confirm that, and they said that they'll give a statement in a few days, especially with those 3 Kenyans and the 5 Kenyans that the country is expecting from Sierra Leone. Betty.
All right, Catherine, finally, there was a ward that was specifically to attend to these Kenyans at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Will this ward still remain as is, or what happens next?
Basically, what the ward was, it was basically just a resting place because initially the government thought that the testing period would take 12 hours. So in order for them not to have contact with anybody, including workers at JKIA, there was a special ward made for them. It was just for them to sleep. It was a comfortable place for them to sleep, and it was separated. You had the female side and the male side. So it was just basically a resting place, a comfortable resting place until their test results were released. And Camry did take their blood before they went to sea, and they tested for Ebola and the Marburg, which is the new thread. So it was just basically a sleeping area for them.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much for that report. Of course, she'll have all these details in our later bulletins. But right now, let's have our business chat for the afternoon. And Michael Karanja is up next, and he has a very interesting discussion on cashless pay in the matatus. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned.
And that's quite right, Betty. Cashless fares is something that was supposed to be on track from starting July this year, but has had a bit of challenges in terms of just meeting the way matatus operate and how that cashless system will be introduced. And just to help us decipher this is Simon Kimtai, who's the chairman of the Matatus Owners Association. Simon, it was supposed to start in July, here back and forth, on how the system is going to be implemented. Why the delay in enforcing cashless payments?
Well, let me not call it cashless as you do. It's called cashlight, because of the legal tender. And well, you know, we're migrating into a new system that has never been done here before. And the infrastructure and probably challenges of technical areas had to, you know, delay the processes, because first initially we had to have those who are going to provide the service, and they had to be really, you know, to test their systems to be able to work. That is one challenge, that they had to seek for licenses through central bank, their regulations, and they had to meet certain standards. So, you know, there's been this issue that you don't need to carry many cards. The comparability has got to be, they've got to be workable. You've got to have, one card has got to be compatible with the others. So those are the challenges that made it delay. And so far we've had test runs, and it is working. So I'm sure the challenge would be the time given and how to implement it.
Yeah. I guess one of the other challenges perhaps was the number of SACCOs that exist currently, and everyone seemed to want their own system that worked for their own kind of offering. Are we now talking about one master system where different cards can talk to one another and you don't have to have different cards for different matatus?
Yeah, I think that is what they were working on, and I think it's one of the requirements, that you've got to have a system that is compatible to the rest, that you can use a Beba Pay to probably be in a 1963 you know, payment system. So I think they had to receipt and see how all this can be put together to be able to function in that manner. Well, we know, those are technical matters that we as matatu operators do not understand. Ours is, we want a system that is workable, because for a very long time our business has been on trust. And we've had so much leakages that over 30% of revenues collected are lost. So this is the only sure way for us now as a business community, and as an industry, that would be able to get our revenues intact. So the technical issues now are left to the service providers who have been licensed by central government and also approved by NTSA.
We talk of the matatu industry about being turnover of about 218 billion shillings almost annually. That shows you the kind of business that is there in the matatu business. By taking cash out of the system, what are some of the benefits that you would enjoy in terms of offering better services and just ensuring that there's more efficiency in the matatu business?
What I would say first is that owners have just been a conduit. Yeah, we receive money, but all of it does not come to your wallet or to your pocket. We you know, there's all about 40% of gross collection is swallowed by fuel by end of each day. This is what propels our engine. And then there are other costs that come in Mungiki, so there's well and so forth. But all in all, benefits are there right now. We would be able to save at least 30% of what normally disappears without, you know, we don't have any accounting system presently that would be able to tell you how much has been collected. So it's been on trust. You entrust, you have an investment worth maybe 5 million or more, and you trust that a person would collect the money and remit it to you as it is. But unfortunately, it's not been the case because there are vested interests in law enforcement officers, city council. There are those who position themselves to be selling passengers. Yeah. Everybody, there are those who scout around.
There's always someone who wants a slice of that. There is a slice that is taken. I think this time they'll have to look for ways of earning a living, because those who have invested have not actually been realizing their profits. In any case, most of them have actually been going out to look for money to repay loans they have taken. Yeah. But cashless system would be an answer to problems that have existed in a very long time. And this actually would even make sure that law enforcers do their work, not to collect revenue, but to enforce the law. Yeah. And also, there's been misbehavior on the road because people want to do more trips to be able to make money for themselves. Maybe they have a target of maybe 7,000, 8,000, but they want to do more so they can have extra for themselves. This has actually made people disobey the law, and this has made law enforcers allow this to happen, so because there's a cut. Cash in.
Yeah, so I think this is a weapon that would do blow to many of those illegal activities that have been taking place in public transport.
One school of thought was of the opinion that perhaps matatu owners as yourself did not engage the drivers, the touts, to buy into the system of being able to collect more. So therefore, they were saying, why should I allow this system where we're not seeing any cash coming onto our hands, so why should we allow it and there's no cut from there? So how is that idea now buying into all the stakeholders in that value chain for matatu industry?
This is a culture in public transport that it has been so difficult to wipe out. You would even get relatives to work for you, thinking that they would take care of you. They even become worse. Technology is there to make our work easy. If we don't move with technology, then we become analog. We want to make use of this technology to benefit us and make our work easy. We want also to professionalize the service, where a person who's employed feels he's employed and is salaried, as opposed to by the end of the day you get a salary that will not get you anywhere. Yeah. So this system will be a win-win for every person. It will only be those who are going to lose are those who've been hinging themselves on areas they've not invested.
Leeching on the business.
Yeah, those are actually, I would call them, what do you call them? Coupe. Or parasites.
So just in closing, does this sector need a regulator in terms of just bringing everyone together and so that everyone reads from the same script?
It's very important to have an area where rules and regulations would come from, and all of us are there to them. A regulator is very important because he'll put in standards where all those operators will have to play by the rules. This, once you put standards, then everybody will feel fair, as opposed to giving those who are strong position to stumble on those who are weak. So regulators will always bring in standards, and people will have to adhere to it and make work easy. I don't have to invest there and be there to perfect those who are working for me because the systems are already laid. So it's very important that regulators must be there. But we also want to tell regulators that they have to be fair. There shouldn't be any vested interests, and they should actually do what they're supposed to do.
All right, thank you very much. That has been Simon Kimtai, the chairman of the Matatu Owners Association, telling us that this industry can actually grow and even double what the 218 billion that it collects if their systems are followed, and becoming a win-win for everyone who's involved in the Matatu value chain.
That's actually pretty nice. Right, that's why we wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk rather. I think I'm hungry. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Betty Kialo.